You know that moment when your plane touches down? That sudden jolt that pushes you into your seat. Then, almost instantly, the engines erupt into a deafening roar. The wings seem to change shape. The whole aircraft rumbles beneath your feet. For a few seconds, it feels almost chaotic. Just moments earlier, this building-sized 500-ton giant was racing toward the runway at nearly 170 miles per hour. At that speed, it could blast from one end of the runway to the other in less than 25 seconds. Think about that for a moment. Yet somehow, it slows to a gentle crawl with hundreds of meters of runway still to spare. How does that happen? What makes an aircraft braking system so fascinating isn't just its immense power, it's the perfectly timed coordination of several systems. The process begins before the wheels even touch the ground, and the instant they do, three remarkable systems explode into action, each setting up the next, all working together in the blink of an eye to bring a 500-ton airliner safely to a stop. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how those systems work together and why every one of them is essential. So let's start while the aircraft is still on approach, before the wheels even touch the ground. And to really understand the problem we're facing, hold on to that weight for a second. 500 tons is roughly 80 adult elephants. Now imagine 80 elephants sliding down a runway at around 170 miles per hour. That's what we're trying to stop. And all that speed hides an enemy called energy. The faster something moves, the more energy it builds up. And that energy doesn't just disappear because you want it to. It has to be taken out of the plane and turned into something else. So the very first system doesn't actually slow the plane down at all. Instead, it sets a very clever trap, one that makes every system that follows far more effective. But before we get to that first system, let's rewind for a moment. Aircraft haven't always been this good at stopping. In the early days of aviation, brakes were incredibly simple. They were little more than basic pads pressing against the wheels, much like the brakes on an old bicycle. That worked well enough when small, lightweight aircraft landed on grass at low speeds. But as aircraft became larger, heavier, and much faster, those simple brakes just couldn't cope anymore. Engineers replaced them with steel brakes, similar in principle to the ones on your car. And for a while, they worked. The problem was heat. Push steel brakes hard enough, and they'd overheat, bend out of shape, and gradually lose their stopping power until they barely worked at all. Sometimes they'd even catch fire on the runway. Not exactly what you want on an aircraft carrying hundreds of people and thousands of liters of fuel. Something better was needed. But before we get to that, let's come back to the trap. Step 1. The spoilers. Look out of your window the instant you land, and you'll see flat panels flip straight up on top of the wing. Those are the spoilers. Their job is the exact opposite of what the wing has been doing for the entire flight. Instead of generating lift, they destroy it, forcing the aircraft firmly onto the runway. Because a wing was designed to do one thing: generate lift. Even after the wheels touch the runway, it's still trying to lift the aircraft back into the air. And that's the problem. You can't effectively stop a plane that's still half flying. The tires need the aircraft's full weight pressing them into the ground to grip. No weight means no grip, and no grip means no stopping. So the spoilers spoil the lift. That's exactly what they do. In plain English, they stop the wing from producing lift, allowing the aircraft's full weight to slam down onto the wheels. They have a second job as well. Once they pop up into the airflow, they create a large wall against the rushing air. Instead of slicing cleanly through it, the aircraft now has to push against it, creating drag that helps slow the plane down. And there's a lovely irony here. For the entire flight, the aircraft is designed to slice through the air with as little drag as possible. The instant it lands, it wants the exact opposite. It wants to grab the air and fight against it. So with one simple movement, the spoilers force the aircraft firmly onto the runway while also helping to slow it through drag. They don't stop the aircraft by themselves. They give the brakes the grip they need to do their job. Quick one while all that weight settles onto the wheels. If you're already learning something about landings or seeing them a little differently, do tap that like button. It genuinely helps the channel more than you might think. Right, now the brakes go to work. Step 2, the brakes. And these are nothing like the ones on your car. Here's something that sounds impossible, but it's true. Aircraft brakes are made of carbon. Yes, the same material that's in pencil lead. Now here's the surprising part. Most brakes become less effective as they get hotter. Carbon brakes do the exact opposite. The harder they work, the hotter they become. And unlike ordinary brakes, that heat makes them grip even better. So when they reach their highest temperature, they also reach their strongest braking power. Nature almost never hands you a deal that good. Did you know an Airbus A380 has 22 wheels? Yet only 16 of them actually have brakes. Every one of those 16 wheels has its own carbon brake, a stack of carbon discs packed together like a deck of cards. The moment the pilots press the brakes, hydraulic pressure squeezes those discs tightly together. As they clamp against one another, they resist the wheels turning, slowing the aircraft down. So where does all that energy go? It doesn't disappear. It is transformed into heat, an incredible amount of heat. In fact, those brakes can exceed 1,000 degrees Celsius, hotter than the lava flowing from many volcanoes. So why don't they simply melt? Because they were engineered for exactly this job. Carbon brakes are built to absorb and withstand enormous temperatures that would destroy ordinary brakes. Fit the braking system from any road car to an aircraft like this, and it would overheat, fail, melt, and destroy itself within seconds, without making any meaningful difference to the aircraft's speed. And none of this is done by one brake doing all the work. 16 separate carbon brake assemblies are all working together at exactly the same moment, sharing the enormous task of bringing a 500-ton giant safely to a stop. So why did engineers switch from steel to carbon? It wasn't just because carbon could handle the heat. There was another big advantage: weight. Carbon brakes are much lighter than steel ones. That means the aircraft itself is lighter, and a lighter aircraft burns less fuel every single time it flies. They also last far longer, surviving thousands of landings before they need replacing. So carbon brakes don't just stop an aircraft better, they save fuel, reduce maintenance, and lower operating costs. That's why they've become the standard on modern airliners. Now, raw clamping force has a catch. Squeeze too hard and the wheel locks, the tire skids, and a skidding tire stops almost nothing. So every wheel has an anti-skid brain. Think of it as ABS, like on your car, but on a completely different level. It senses the split second a wheel is about to lock, releases just that one wheel for a heartbeat, then grabs again. About 100 times a second, on every wheel, independently. All it's trying to do is keep every wheel turning at the point where it delivers the maximum possible grip. Far faster than any human ever could. And the pilots barely have to think about it. On most modern jets, they choose how hard they want to stop before they even land, using something called auto brake. Low for a long, relaxed runway, maximum for a short or slippery one. They dial it in, the plane touches down, and the system delivers exactly that, smoothly, steadily, all by itself. If you're enjoying this video and you've learned something you didn't know before, do hit that subscribe button. Because the third system is the loudest of them all, and it's the one almost everybody gets wrong. Step 3. The thrust reversers. That deafening roar you hear a second after touchdown, this is it. Normally, each jet engine gulps down over a ton of air every single second. It compresses that air, mixes it with fuel, and blasts it out of the back, pushing the aircraft forwards. With 4 engines, an Airbus A380 is swallowing roughly 5 tons of air every second at full power. A thrust reverser does exactly what its name suggests. It redirects part of that powerful airflow forwards instead. That forward blast pushes against the aircraft's motion, helping to slow it down. It's loud, it's dramatic, and it sounds like it's doing almost all the braking. But here's the surprise: it isn't. On a dry runway, the thrust reversers contribute only about a third of the braking at higher speeds, and very little once the aircraft is slowed down. The carbon brakes are still doing most of the work. The reversers really earn their keep on wet or icy runways, where the tires have less grip, and every bit of extra braking helps. And here's a detail most people never notice. On the Airbus A380, only the 2 inner engines have thrust reversers. The 2 outer engines don't. Why? Because at full reverse, they would blast dirt, stones, and debris from the edge of the runway, so the engineers simply left them off. Now for the part almost nobody knows about. Brakes this hot create a second problem. The heat spreads outward, straight into the tires, and a tire that gets hot enough doesn't just go flat, it can burst, like a balloon squeezed too hard. So engineers came up with something beautifully simple. Tucked inside the wheel, right where the tire sits, is a tiny metal plug called a fuse plug. Most of the time it does a boring job. It simply keeps the air inside the tire, just like the valve on a bicycle tire. But this plug has a secret. It's designed to melt at an exact temperature, so when the brakes get dangerously hot, the plug melts first, opening a tiny escape path for the air. The air slowly hisses out through that tiny opening, and the tire gently deflates instead of exploding. Think about how clever that is. The engineers decided they'd rather give you a flat tire than a blowout. One tiny plug melts on purpose, so nothing else has to fail. And what could have become a disaster turns into a routine job for the ground crew. And before any new airliner is allowed to carry a single passenger, it has to pass one of the toughest tests in aviation. Engineers load it to its maximum certified weight. Then they fit it with brakes that are almost worn out. Not because they're trying to break the aircraft, but because they want to prove it can still stop safely using the worst brakes it's ever legally allowed to fly with. They accelerate it all the way to takeoff speed, and at the very last moment, they reject the takeoff. The brakes glow red hot. The tires slowly deflate through the fuse plugs, but the test still isn't over. Now they wait. For 5 minutes, nobody is allowed to cool the brakes or touch the aircraft. They're watching to see if all that heat causes a fire or another failure. If nothing happens, the aircraft passes. Only then is it considered safe enough to carry its very first passengers. If you're someone who's ever felt a little nervous when a plane lands, I hope this puts your mind at ease. Every airliner has to pass tests like these long before a single passenger ever steps on board. If this video reassured you, type "I'm reassured" in the comments. And while you're there, tell me which city you're watching from. Now, let's get back to the aircraft braking system. Remember at the beginning I told you the braking process actually starts before the wheels even touch the ground. That begins with the flaps and slats. On final approach, the pilots extend them. Their main job is to let the aircraft fly safely at a much lower speed, but they also create extra drag, helping the aircraft bleed off speed before it even reaches the runway. That means by the time the wheels touch down, the aircraft is already carrying less speed for the braking systems to deal with. So let's bring the whole thing together, start to finish. Imagine you're sitting inside an Airbus A380, racing towards the runway at nearly 170 miles per hour. Ahead of you lies just 1.37 miles of runway. At that speed, the aircraft could eat up that runway in less than 25 seconds. First, the flaps and slats stay fully extended, continuing to create drag as the aircraft settles onto the runway. Then, the instant all 22 wheels of the Airbus A380 touch the runway, 3 remarkable systems explode into action. The spoilers spring up from the top of the wings, standing straight into the rushing airflow. They destroy the remaining lift and force the aircraft's full 500-ton weight down onto the wheels. Simultaneously, out of those 22 wheels, only 16 are fitted with brakes. Their carbon brake discs clamp together with enormous force, converting the aircraft's remaining speed into intense heat. At the same time, the anti-skid system keeps every one of those 16 braked wheels right at the point of maximum grip without ever letting them lock. In parallel, the thrust reversers redirect a massive amount of engine airflow forwards, adding even more stopping force while the aircraft is still traveling at high speed. And if the brakes become dangerously hot, the fuse plugs stand ready to melt first, allowing the tires to safely deflate instead of bursting. 3 systems, the spoilers, the wheel brakes, and the thrust reversers, all working simultaneously, each doing exactly what it was designed to do, bringing a 500-ton giant safely to a gentle crawl. And that's the quiet genius of great engineering. It's violent, blazing hot, and fighting physics with everything it's got. Yet from your seat, all you feel is a push into your seat and hear a roar that now has meaning. So the next time you're on final approach and the aircraft touches down, you'll know that every rumble, movement, and change around you is part of a carefully coordinated process designed to bring the aircraft safely to a stop. I hope you've learned something new today, and if there's something about these incredible machines you've always wondered about, tell me in the comments. Your question might just become our next video. Thank you for being an amazing audience. Until next time, stay safe, look after yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.